Hello again everybody, and continuing with my theme of festivals and religions, today I'm going to talk about another Greek one. This time it's a rather odd business altogether, and this is the cult of the Eleusinian Mysteries. Now, it's hard to know exactly what went on with this cult because, as its name suggests, it was all very secretive. It was a mystery. Devotees were not supposed to reveal information, although some inevitably was revealed, and there's a bit of archaeology. It clearly relates to the myth of Demeter and Persephone, which itself is clearly related to the passing of the agricultural year, the passing of the seasons, and with that, the whole notion of fertility. It may well be that by the classical period, say the 5th century onwards, its origins and meaning were actually lost to the devotees, and it had taken on various other trappings as well, borrowed from other cults and practices perhaps. So what do we actually know? Well, there was a procession. How many ancient religions involve processions? It went from Athens, the 20 kilometers, over the hills, via the sea, to Eleusis. When they got there, the participants there was a purification ritual in the sea, a bit sort of like a quasi-baptism, I guess. Then there was a period of fasting. Then there was a procession to a building called the Telesterion, the Hall of the Mysteries, in which probably a drama was enacted telling the story of Demeter and Persephone, and this is one of the things that we don't know actually for sure. Now, in doing that, this was to do with the abduction of Persephone by her uncle Hades going down to the underworld, but subsequent rebirth, because she was only in the underworld for 6 months of the year. So the idea when Persephone came out of the underworld, that was the beginning of spring and the period of rebirth, resurrection almost. So one of the attractions of belonging to the mystery cult of Eleusis was clearly the elaborate ritual that went on with it, and also the attraction of being in the know about a great secret. But it also promised the idea of some form of eternal life. This idea of being in on the great secret, there's lots of religions which have what's called a Gnostic aspect to them from the classical world. It even relates at one period to some sort of adherents or peripheral hangers-on of Christianity. But the idea of belonging to a cult certainly didn't chime with the more mainstream Greek religious beliefs of the time. There also seems to have been some suggestion of participants receiving visions of the beyond, which has led some modern scholars to suggest that drug taking may have been involved. Now, the etymology of the name Eleusis seems to connect with the Greek word eleutheria, which means freedom or release, and some say that is the idea of being released from our earthly lot, albeit temporarily. Some have suggested parallels and comparisons with other Middle Eastern or Near Eastern cults, including the worship of Isis and Osiris in Egypt, and also cults of other people like Adonis in Syria and cults in Persia too. We simply cannot know. The cult was mocked by Aristophanes in the play The Frogs, where the chorus of initiates is a sort of secondary chorus alongside the frogs. Nowadays, when this play is produced, they're sometimes realised as rather sort of stoned out, bombed out hippie types. And that I guess is kind of a nod in the direction of drug taking. In 414 BC, the young Athenian aristocrat Alcibiades was prosecuted for 2 reasons. One, for vandalising statues of Hermes, knocking the phallus off the front of them, and also violating the mysteries, the Eleusinian Mysteries, by imitating them in his house. And again, some scholars have suggested that that might be an allegation of private drug taking. It's not great for anybody, that, and certainly not desirable in someone who's about to set off as a leader of the Athenian expedition to Sicily. So he was eventually prosecuted, and before it came to trial, he ran away and crossed sides and went to Sparta. The Eleusinian mystery cult continued to be popular right throughout the classical period until it was eventually banned at the end of the 4th century by the now Christianized emperors of Rome. But even the Emperor Augustus was said to have been an initiate, and that's referred to in a Horace ode. And he was said to have been quite good at keeping his mouth shut, of being a discreet initiate. What then was its attraction? Well, it offered ranks of membership, a sort of hierarchy. It's almost like a career path within the cult. It offered the idea of personal membership and a sense of belonging, which the more public Olympian religions did not. And it offered in some way, either psychotropic or perhaps psychological, the prospect of a life more than this one. And there's always an attraction in that.